Early Monday morning vibes. I had a great week last week. I got to speak at Missouri Valley College. Um, Impacted a lot of students. A couple hundred were in attendance. Nearly a filled room. What was really cool about the event was after I did my captains and accountability bracelets, the actual volleyball team had a huge accountability discussion after they took a team photo with me. So not only is my speech about the drunk driving and prevention and drug and alcohol and mental health and suicide awareness, it involves leadership. It involves accountability. It involves a lot of these other things that are hard to describe when trying to sell your speech. But it's so amazing to see that almost every single event I've ever done, people have different views and different takeaways. Obviously, I stress the drinking and driving and suicide prevention. But the leadership aspect, the accountability aspect, the 5 keys to success that I have involved are these amazing little side pieces that I never imagined I'd have such an impact with students and people who are in the audience. But it was really cool just sitting and watching them and observing this team start to not call each other out, but start to have this open discussion of who's doing what and who's not performing at the level that they need to, and so to see that team dynamic take place and take shape was it was pretty cool to witness. Now, after my 7 p.m. event, I flew in that day, which I've never done before. Had an early flight, so I had to drive almost 2 hours to the airport. And when I got to the airport, the flight before us actually slid off the runway, or not off the runway, but the tarmac. So they couldn't get the airplane out without safety precautions. So we ended up sitting in the airplane for almost 2.5 hours. They deboarded us, and we sat in the Kansas City International Airport, which is tiny, and there was no places to sit. People were sitting on the floors. We were stuck in there for another 2 hours because they ended up closing the airport. Then they reboarded us and couldn't get approval because the airport shut down again. So we sat on the plane for another 2 hours before we took off. So I was supposed to land in Denver at 9 a.m. and I didn't get back to Denver until almost 4 p.m. And so it made for a really long day. And then the following morning I had to go instruct and do a mental health first aid instructor class and work with individuals in the community who are trying to help their businesses or companies or schools that they work for in being aware of suicide and prevention and mental health illnesses that are taking place. And so with this week in review, I try to cover things that are relevant to my life. I don't want to try to cover topics that aren't. So you will hardly ever see me speak about politics. Honestly, I don't care about politics. People get so consumed with it, they end up hating each other and having these battles and wars against each other over picking a side. I just think that there's a lot of highly intelligent people that are a lot smarter than I am who are going to make the decisions. And so you will get a lot of music and sports and events about my speaking career and the individuals I speak with, because that's what matters to me. Now, as for these NFL playoffs, KC has too much firepower, and the Packers didn't stand a chance. I actually shut that game off at half. The 49ers defense just put them on lock, and I don't think the Packers had enough offense to compete, in which they didn't. They tried to make a little run at the end, but Super Bowl time, I'm going to have to go with the 49ers. I think their defense is legit. Their run game is obviously unstoppable. Even though KC took that away from Tennessee, But it's going to be a interesting Super Bowl. Two teams that are adding new flavor to the Super Bowls of the last couple of years without the Pats, and so it'll be a good change. And once the Super Bowl's over, it's NBA time for me. I'll start diving into the NBA and watching more games and being involved. So you'll get a lot of stuff about what I see on the court and what I don't see off the court, and just the life that I love around this game of basketball, which I don't get to play very often anymore because I'm old. My back hurts. So with that being said, try to do a little 5-6 minute clip every once in a while just to keep this 2020 New Year's resolution going of staying consistent and trying to actually commit to producing content. I'm still not used to it. I still don't really think it's that cool. But, oh, side note, I got a MacBook Pro. I can't stand it. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I've been a PC person, and I this morning I'm venting because everything is backwards. I can't get things to work appropriately. I thought it'd be easy use like my iPhone and my iPad. But as of right this moment, I'm thoroughly disappointed, and it's probably just because it's me running it and not the actual laptop. But I've never had this much frustration trying to run a computer, but I am trying to learn a new system, and it's completely different than PC, and it is frustrating. So I'm taking this frustration instead of, taking it out on my computer. I'm going to take myself to the gym and work this out because I haven't been in the gym in 2 days anyway. So, all right, later.